Hello and welcome to Cup of Motivation with Monica. I'm your host, Monica Pierre. Thank you so much for joining us. Today is Monday, June 4th, 2012. Thanks to all of you who are joining this live motivational webcast. I really appreciate all that you do to tune in, support what we're doing here. And in the meantime, I'm hopeful that you're hearing something that will inspire you, inform you, and encourage you to take action on your dream. And we believe that there is no better way to begin our week than on a positive note. A special thanks this morning to super producer and spouse Paul Dolphin in the other room. We're coming live from our home office. Say hi, Paul. You didn't hear him. Okay, he said hi. On this morning's webcast, we're going to talk about decluttering, cleaning up our space, getting rid of stuff that no longer serves us. That's what we're going to focus on this morning. What's in your life that really no longer serves you? And why are you hanging on to it? What's the reason? We're talking about going into those desk drawers and office spaces and corners and crevices and closets to uncover what you're hanging on to and asking the question, is it really serving you? And if it's not serving you, if you have not used it, seen it, or touched it in years, then I would guess the answer is it's not serving you. So we'll talk about that as well. So grab your cup of coffee, or in this case, my big old tumbler of tea, and let's get ready to begin our week on a positive, inspiring note. Well, first up, we always begin with what caught our eye over the weekend. And there's a few things that caught my eye, but one in particular deals with this fellow here, Tiger Woods. He picked up the right place to match his childhood idol, Jack Nicklaus, for career PGA Tour wins. And with a shot that left even his mentor, Jack Nicklaus, just so excited about him. Look at that. That is fantastic. So 2 shots behind with 3 holes to play. His ball in an impossible shot. I don't know if you saw this yesterday. It was behind the 16th green. Tiger holed a flop shot from 50 feet away that turned bogey into birdie and sent him on his way to a stunning comeback yesterday in the Memorial. Now, I read that because I don't really know a lot about golf, but I like sports because it teaches us so many things about life, our own lives. So this is his 5th win at the Muirfield Village and the 73rd of his PGA Tour career to match his boyhood idol, Jack Nicklaus, at number 2 with those 73 wins. That's the all-time list. Now, the guy who really has the record with 82 wins is, of course, Sam Snead. Now, for Woods, for Tiger, it was a very dramatic end to his worst 3 tournament start as a pro, and it came with the U.S. Open looming. So here's why this caught our eye. Why did it catch our eye? Because it's not about golf. And sometimes it's really not about Tiger. I always ask myself and others, if you were Tiger, what would this all mean for you? You know, you have hit a wall with your success. You may have had a lot of notoriety. You may have a lot of press, a lot of exposure. You're doing well. And then suddenly you're in a dry season. Suddenly, maybe sometimes not so suddenly, you find yourself up against the wall. People are starting to doubt your success, doubt your vision, doubt what you're doing. You were called the kid, the wonderkind, the person who's so good, had the Midas touch. Now all of a sudden, people are calling you a one-hit wonder, perhaps, or that you were destined to fall because you didn't deserve your success, or you thought you were all that in a bag of chips, as they used to say. And finally, you're getting your comeuppance. And all of the folks who suddenly were on your bandwagon now are just jumping ship. They're no longer there. They're laughing at you. They're doubting you. How are you feeling during this period? Are you starting to think that maybe they're right? Maybe they know something. You're starting to doubt yourself, and you're starting to feel that maybe you weren't worthy. It's beyond Tiger Woods. It's about yourself. Have you ever been in that spot, in that situation where suddenly it's as if everything you touch just turns to nothing? that no matter what you do, you're missing cuts, like in golf, like Tiger did. You're 4 strokes behind, like Tiger was. And people are focusing on what you are not able to accomplish instead of focusing on what you have accomplished, and even more, what you can accomplish in the future. As Joel Osteen says, your best days are ahead, but people are only looking at where you are right now. And it's just not feeling good. How do you handle it? How will you keep moving forward? How will you filter out all of the analysts and the prognosticators and all who say that it's going to end badly for you, that you are indeed a has-been, you are indeed washed up, you are indeed over the hill? So if you're in that place right now, if you're feeling that, I know this is what I'm called to do. I know I'm called to write this book. I know I'm called to heal. I know I'm called to go back to school. I know I'm called to create something out of nothing. But the way it's looking right now, it's not looking very doable. It's not looking very good. Hang in there. What if it had gotten inside of his head? And I think even the guy, Mr. Sen, I forget his name, the guy who was on his heel, who always trash talks with him, with Tiger. If you let it get inside your head, you start to make mistakes. You start to doubt yourself. So keep plowing. If you need some inspiration, maybe you can look to Tiger Woods. There he is, tied with his childhood idol, number 72 wins, professional wins. That's fantastic. Now, what else caught my eye over the weekend, and it's kind of a sad note, but it's also an inspiring note for me, because although I've never met this guy, Richard Dawson, I used to love his show, watching him on game shows, watching him do Hogan's Heroes, Family Feud. We got word yesterday that Richard Dawson has passed away. He was 79 years old. And one of the things he would do, especially when he did the Family Feud, was he would kiss all of the female contestants for good luck. He later said that I kissed them for luck and love. That's all it was, Dawson said. And I started thinking about that. Later on in an interview when he was much older, he said when he looked back on that with fondness, he did it because he believes that at the foundation of what you do is love. So why don't we do things for love? So why don't we do it for love? And to quote my dear friend Carmela, do good for goodness sakes. I thought he was very comfortable in his skin. He enjoyed himself. He was quick wit, and he was a lot of fun. So even though we haven't met him, I didn't meet him in life, I just loved what he stood for. So Richard Dawson, a life well lived. Thank you, sir. Today we're talking about getting rid of the things in our lives, the stuff in our lives that no longer serve us. No longer serve us. I was looking for a quote on this, and I came across someone that I wasn't really familiar with, and she talks about, her name was Anais Nin, and she was a French-Cuban author who published her journals after 60 years, and one of the things that she did was very good. One of the things that she did was talk about getting rid of things. She said, to change skins, evolve into new cycles, I feel one has to learn to discard. If one changes internally, one should not continue to lie with the same objects. They reflect one's mind and the psyche of yesterday. I throw away things that have no dynamic living use for me. That was her quote. No dynamic living use for me. Think about that. They reflect one's mind and psyche of yesterday. So we're talking about decluttering. Before we go on, I'm getting some emails. In fact, this was a very interesting show topic because we sent out the e-blast last night, and many of you decided that you would reach out to me and let me know that this was absolutely a topic that you needed to hear and wanted to hear more about. So thank you for that. And also, Paul sent me a note that our dear friend Ron Markham, a great supporter of the show, says he is watching. Thank you, Ron. We do appreciate that. Absolutely. This all started last week for me because one of my other great friends, Cherie Clark, had a fantastic idea. We're part of a women's prayer group called Women United in Prayer, and we've been praying for each other, praying for people that we don't know, but we know that, it works. So on a spiritual level, Cherie had this incredible idea that we would do a declutter fast. It would be a challenge that for 5 days we would find something to clean up, something to declutter. It could be a room, it could be a closet, it could be a cabinet, it could be your home office, it could be your car. And I immediately thought that this was absolutely right on time for me and so many others, because as I looked around my house, I could have spent a year decluttering because there's so many little nooks and crannies and closets, and Paul and I have our home office here, so there's lots and lots of paper everywhere, stuff that I know it's a couple of years old, if not older. So I was very intrigued to be a part of this decluttering challenge, this decluttering fast. I said I would pick a room, and Cherie had great ideas. Just go ahead and find a place that would work. Whether it would be your room, your car, your office, pick something. So many of us decided that we were going to do this. We were going to join this declutter challenge, this declutter fast. So I decided to spend Memorial Day, that was the first day of the challenge, of the fast, cleaning up my office. Now, you see a little bit of it. It's not huge, but my goodness, I can pack away stuff in this place. I said, okay, I would work early morning radio, 5 a.m. to 6 a.m., come home, 7-ish, and then I would start in the office. I'd pick an area. Maybe I could do the entire office. Maybe a couple of hours, tops. 4 hours later, I'm just in an area. There was so much to clean, so much decluttering that needed to take place. And as I started doing it, I started thinking about, what am I doing here? What am I doing? So one of my first observations was that when you first start to declutter your life, physically or spiritually, it looks chaotic at first. Don't you agree? So here I am with bags and cleaning things and dusters, and it looks worse than it did when I started. In fact, it looked better with things out of mind, tucked away in corners, ignored. So I thought. So I'm in this process thinking, I will never get through all of this. This is going to take me days just to clean up this one spot. So I'm hanging in there, and I'm beginning the process, and I'm going through and I'm finding things that I had not seen nor thought about in years. I found old radio news scripts from, brace yourself, 1998. 1998? Wow. Why do I have this? I found a calendar from the year 2000, and I'm not completely paperless, but I use my smartphone. I use the calendars there. I rarely use a calendar, a physical calendar. So I had one from the year 2000. How did that get there? If I didn't have 50 tablets, the tablets, I didn't have one. Some of them were used up almost to the end. Some I had only used a few sheets of paper, some a fourth. And I'm thinking, why am I holding on to this stuff? Why am I doing that? That was a great question. So again, I'm so busy in the process, but little by little, the thoughts are coming. I'm hearing things. And I'm hearing the voice that says to me deep down inside, Monica, let this stuff go. I had this idea years ago that maybe one day, 100 years from now, somebody would want to know more about me and want to know my life. So I would just hang on to things, old newscasts, old sheets of paper, my thoughts. And I'm thinking, you don't have to physically hang on to them anymore. With technology, you can scan some of this stuff. So I was thinking that someone would be interested in my life and wanted to know, but I started putting them in the bag. At first I went through, well, do I hang on to this? Is this something important? 99% of it I put in the bag. It had to go. I went through all of those notepads and got rid of all of the things that I had handwritten and decided that I was going to donate all of this paper. I have so many tablets. Someone could use it to write their thoughts or to journal. So I'm going to give that away. In fact, I kept them. I'm going to nicely and neatly put them in a box. I did get an email from the VA. They're going to be in our neighborhood, and I'm going to put a box of books and a box of tablets and donate that. So when you clean up and you get rid of things, you have to ask yourself, why am I hanging on? And sometimes the reason is, well, I don't want to get rid of it because it will mean to the person who gave it to me that I'm throwing away what they gave me. And that's not the case at all. So I'm going through my old papers and everything. So day one, I'm thinking, let go, let God, let the Spirit lead. You don't have to hang on to all of these things. So as you go through, I would ask you to think about what you're feeling day one of this decluttering challenge. All right. Day one, I'm laughing, thinking, oh my God, it took me 4 hours. I just had one corner done. My goodness, my gracious. There's so much to do. Let me stay in the office. In 5 days, I should really have this place looking fantastic. The next day, I decide, let's look around. I have stacks of old files. Some of them in the files include invoices, communications, letters, old emails. So I'm going through this stuff. And I look at old proposals, old follow-up correspondences, IRS letters, and I'm starting to go through all of this, and something is waving over me. What is going on? Why am I not laughing now? What is happening with me? I'm starting to feel some disappointment, some resentment, some anger as I go through all of this, all of these files. So here I am, I'm sitting on the floor, surrounded by my memories, surrounded by these experiences, surrounded by colleagues that I've dealt with and people that I've had business relationships with. And I'm feeling, like, my goodness. And I'm looking at this one. I did all this work for that little bit of money. I did this partnership and never got paid. I spent all of this money on something that I shouldn't have spent all of this money. No wonder up and down I've had challenges financially and struggling with the business. And what I looked at was just the facts about decisions that I had made. And I started to feel disappointment. But I also knew that all of these experiences have led me to where I am right now. I remember reading the last article, those of you who read Oprah's magazine, the O magazine, she does What I Know for Sure. And in the last issue, she talked about now that she's focusing on her company, her network, OWN, Oprah Winfrey Network, that things are challenging at the beginning stage. Now that she did her last 25 years, she couldn't really focus on OWN, but now she's focusing on it. A very painful decision was made where she had to let go 30 employees because she had too many employees for a startup company. She has to focus. And she said everywhere she turned, there were articles about Oprah not doing well, losing tons of cash, her company is just bleeding money. And she said she was even so disappointed and so down that she couldn't even journal her thoughts. But she ended up doing the next chapter, one of her features, and she went to, I think it was Portugal, this guy, to do a story on him called John of God. And she said when she was there, she had a tremendous breakthrough, and she was crying, and she was weeping about where she was, and she just said, God, what do you want me to do? And when she had her breakthrough there, she said that she was just about to give up when she decided to go and at least do this show and do this segment. So sometimes all of these things lead us to where we are now. So it was all of the decisions that I made. It was all of the relationships that I had. Some of them ended the way I thought they would. Some of them did not. So as I sat with all of these files, all of these memories, all of these emotions and feelings, I decided that, what? It's time to bless what I had gone through. It's time to forgive and really let go. It's time to be clear about this next chapter about where I am now. It's time to know that the people that were in my life were there for a reason. Those positions, those jobs, those proposals, all of the things that I went through were there for a reason. Forgive others, and most importantly, forgive myself. Amazing, amazing, amazing what decluttering can do. So, okay, this is day 2. Can I make it? Can I make 5 days of this? It's up and down. So day 3, I find myself going through an area of, actually it's this area right here where I have a lot of note cards and I have a lot of card stock because years ago, one of my thoughts and one of the things I did, I was going to go and start my own motivational card line where I would just print it myself in-house and Paul would help me with design it. So I'm organizing, I'm straightening up, I'm dusting, and speaking of dust, I tell you, I found more dust in this office that I could really start a vegetable garden. So much stuff. So I am going through all of this, and in one of the drawers, I come across old stuff. Old cassette tapes. Why am I hanging on to cassette tapes? Who has a cassette player nowadays? I even found DAT tapes, the small DAT tapes. What am I going to do with that? I'm laughing. And then I come across a stack of floppy disks. Do you remember floppy disks? Some of you are going, what's a floppy disk? Exactly. What's a floppy disk? Why am I still hanging on to it? I didn't even know it was in that drawer. And there are tons of it. They were backed up data. So I run downstairs and said, Paul, do we need to keep this? And he's laughing at me. Thanks, Paul. He's laughing at me. And he goes, no, you can get rid of that. And he said, you might want to figure out how to shred them. So I'm over the trash can, cracking over these cases going, what is this? All it had was file number 49. No information. So I'm breaking up open. And the funniest part to me is that I had bound them neatly in the drawer, tucked away, out of sight, out of mind. And I had used rubber bands. And the rubber bands were so old. Because this is 1993, 1994. It's the early to mid 90s. The rubber bands are so dry and so brittle. They feel like sticks that you can just poke yourself with. Get rid of that stuff. So I'm getting rid of that. I'm cutting them up. I'm just shredding them. Just amazing to me. So how much I was out of step with order and decency. By day 4 and day 5, I'm going, what will be the next set of revelations? So open my middle drawer, this one, and talk about a disaster. Ugh, nasty stuff, the usual stuff, that junk drawer. Oh. So I go through the junk drawer, and I'm pulling out stuff, the hair, the paper clips, and I come across money. A couple of quarters, some nickels, some pennies, and it's about 85 cents that I didn't even know I had. And some of what happens when you start to tuck away, throw away, and declutter, it's not all about getting rid of. It's all about also discovering and making room for things. So I had 85 cents that I did not know I had, and I'll take it. I'm so amazed about what I learned in 5 days that I'm going to continue the challenge. I'm going to continue going on with it. I'm going to make sure that it continues. So what do you gain during your decluttering challenge or fast or whatever you want to call it? What do you discover about yourself? So as you go through it, keep those questions in mind. What is it that I have to learn? Why am I holding on to things? Do I really need them? Do I really need them? And I guess one of the strongest questions, are they serving me at this stage in my life? And most times, no, they're not. I came across something very interesting. I was looking for the quotes, and I'm going to go back to the quote because I think it just makes more sense now when you think about what she had to say. This is Anais Nin. She wrote that hanging on to stuff, they reflect one's mind and the psyche of yesterday. Is what you're holding on reflecting your psyche of yesterday? I want to tell you in the minutes that we have together about wisebread.com. So I think one of my jobs is to not pretend that I know everything, but remember, I am a journalist at heart. I am a engager at heart. I love to find out information for others. I don't think that I have experienced everything that I can just say, here's my 10 tips, follow me. So throughout these broadcasts and these webcasts, I'm going to be sharing information with you from others. So I found this website. It's called wisebread.com, and an article that I ran across by writer Paul Michael, and he came up with 25 things to throw out today. 25 things to throw out today. Wow. And he talks about in this article, he begins by saying that there's a great feeling of liberation that can come from shredding these items. And he talks about 25 things. And he adds that if you're not comfortable, you don't like the word throwing out, you can find a word that works or something that works for you. You can donate them, 25 things to donate today, or you can dump, or you can toss, or you can incinerate, whatever it is. I want to go through just a few of them with you. Maybe we'll try to do all 25, but I'll quickly go through them. He starts off by saying that go through and declutter clothing and shoes that you haven't worn for the last 18 months. And you've heard this. You know, we live in yesterday, we live in the future. You know, we lose weight, but we hang on to our older clothes because just in case we gain our weight back, we'll have clothes. Or we hang on to clothes that we bought because one day we'll be 20 pounds lighter and we're not living in now. That's one of the lessons of going through that closet and looking at clothing and saying, am I living in the past? Or am I living too much in the future? Or am I living in the now? So go through that, you know, and maybe when you make the donation, there'll be someone who will actually need those clothes, who can wear those clothes today and not once every 10 years. This is interesting. We can do this, go through, look into your garages and areas. You can get rid of old paint. All of those cans of paint in the garage or in basements, depending on where you live around here. So Paul Michael suggests that you can also visit earth911.com to find a place that will safely dispose of old paint. So those of you, and we should be environmentally aware. Also, the contents of our drawer, you might find 85 cents. No telling what you might find in the drawer. But again, it's collecting dust. He has an experiment. He says, go ahead and grab a box and put everything in that junk drawer in this box. And then keep it in there. And if at the end of the month, if you haven't looked for that stuff, touched that stuff, needed that stuff, you don't need that stuff. Get rid of that. All that stuff. Dated receipts, paychecks, bills. You know, some of it we have to hang on to for a couple of years, of course, especially if you have a business. But for the most, you know, an electricity bill from 1998. Really? Unread books. That hurt my feelings because I have a lot of books here. So I'm donating books tomorrow when the VA will stop by. So again, if you haven't read them or if I've read them a lot of times, there are books that I can share with others. Expired medicines and vitamins, that's very important because not only you need to get rid of that because it's not good, because it can be not safe. Another one, cups and mugs. Open your kitchen drawer, get rid of that. This old stuff. Oh my goodness gracious, VHS tapes. Yes. Paul, why are we hanging on to our VHS tapes? Why are we doing that? Old CDs, old movies. Plastic containers, we can get rid of that. Linens, we can donate that. There are people that can use it. The truth is, we're not going to have 20 people who will need to come over and spend the night with us or spend the weekend with us.
Hope not.
Paul says he hopes not. I did tell you my family, they're coming. 20 of them, 20 strong. Power cords, you know, some of these old devices, when you get something new, you'll have your new USB cords and everything. Don't need to hang on to those things. Magazines.
You can drop those off at Best Buy. They have a recycling thing for old power
Oh,
cords.
Paul says you can drop them over by Best Buy. There's now a receptacle you can drop off your old power cords. You see? No need to hang onto that. Spices, old greeting cards, with DVDs. Here's something too. Old toys. You can get rid of some of these toys. Decide which one the kids really want to keep. 1 or 2 is fine. You can donate the rest. The ones that you don't use. You can dump the headless dolls and the broken cars. Get rid of those things. Jewelry. I have a jewelry drawer that's on my list. So going forward, you know, there are 20 food, and we're talking about food in the refrigerator that is all brown and food that you're not going to eat. So get rid of that. Very interesting. I hope that this has been a show that really having you think about where you are, why you're holding on to things, and you can let it go. I'm going to continue actually I'm going to do the entire month of June. If you want to join me for a day or two, 15 days of June, 30 days of June, I would like for you to send me an email or Facebook me or follow me on Twitter as you begin to declutter in your life. What's going on? What are you giving up? What are you dealing with? And what are you gaining as a result of it, and all of the blessings that are coming into your life as a result? That's our show for today. Thanks to Paul Dolphins, super producer, for being with us, and all of you. Enjoy today and have a week full of motivation. I'm Monica Pierre.